have made it to the final game of our series, and I am going to give a game that is in the bane of the existence of the Alekhine. I would say at the correspondence level, the 4 pawns attack is a problem for the Alekhine defense. And players know that the 4 pawns attack is good, but the issue is black has 5, 6 different ways of playing against the 4 pawns. And because the Alekhine occur so infrequently, it is hard to remember these lines when you're not practicing them constantly. And even though black is busted in the majority of the variations, they're not trivial. So I think from a practical standpoint, the Alekhine as an opening still holds up because humans don't have the memory of machines. And it's easy to be a keyboard warrior or an engine warrior and sit behind and go, but the engine says... Engine's not with you during a game, boss man. And that's the reason why people don't gain rating. So, answer your own questions, play your own positions. Don't count on the engine too much. 4 pawns attack game to close out the series. And we get the dreaded 4 pawns. And I started working on an expansion chapter to the Alekhine in 2020 because I wanted to provide something different with the 4 pawns than what I already had recommended in my Alekhine Defense The Dark Knight Rises, only on Chessable. And I wanted a move order that could potentially trick white. And this is a great example. I start off with Bishop F5. One of the main lines here is to take immediately, put pressure on the center, and after Bishop F5, we get this type of position. Bishop E2 seems to be the new, well, in vogue main line. And this position is classically difficult to play, in my opinion, for black. Black is holding, but recent games like Robson Naroditsky from the U.S. Championship shows that if black doesn't know exactly what he's doing, doesn't play it very, very well, you can get into trouble. So I definitely work on this position in my text. But the thing about Bishop F5 is I'm looking for a specific move order from white. And it's typical for white to play Bishop E3. But I found that it was actually an error against this particular move order. White should be playing Knight F3, Bishop E2, and waiting to play Bishop E3. Why? Because at some point, I'm going to swap gears and waste a tempo with D5. And this is a novel idea that I came up with for the text. And we're going to use the C4 square a lot like is seen in exchange variation lines. So Bishop E7, and finally D5. And I am changing the character of the position, and with it we get novel positions that are relatively easy to play for black. So C5 is played. I'll hop right in. And there is no worries of the knight getting trapped. And if he takes, it just opens up the D file for me to attack the D pawn. B4, I just go right back. The knights can dance on the queen side. So after Bishop E3 is played, start chipping away. That developed the rook. Now let's place some pressure on white's position. Knight B4. Hitting C2, knight C2, big threat. C5, much like the French. Hitting the center. Now white is looking to go for it all. Try to mate us by attacking on the king side. I'm like, all right, well, I don't really care. I'll get that knight off the edge of the board. I'll attack the A2 pawn, and I'll attack the center. G4. Well, we've got two options here. Bishop g6 and bishop e4. I liked bishop e4. More forcing, and I'm threatening to take on f3, undermine the center. Takes, takes. And it all falls apart very quickly now for white. Where are you going? Nope. Nowhere. And at this point, as they say, it is a matter of technique. But hopefully you'll find it instructive nonetheless. When up material, what do? Trade down, simplify the win. In this case, rook takes f2. Bishop c5. Flexible. When you have time, make the luft. h6 is better than g6. h6 covers the g5 square, preventing his knight getting anywhere near my king. d8. Let's make the passer go forward, shall we? Looking at some key squares. Now, since he's not attacking anything, we'll go ahead and grab that one. And that helps us push forward a bit more. I'm still not bothered by anything that he's doing on the king side because his queen and knight can't really get to key squares to bother my king. So I'm just going to continue to be annoying here. And so the only two pieces that could really hurt me are the queen and knight. So rook d3, I want to try to shut down both of them with a single move. Still can't move them. Pin the knight. Now, find an aggressive response for black. The g-pawn is actually defending us right now, so I'm not worried about taking that guy. Knight c2. Big threat. Knight e3. So that can't really be answered. He goes g5. I can probably play knight e3 and win immediately, but I was just enjoying myself too much. H takes. And always the fan of imbalances. I decide to go into one because it's just paralysis. King g6. The knights defend each other so well. No h4. And now if his rook, say, goes to h1, I have knight e1, which is annoying. And he really just doesn't have a choice in the matter. He sacrifices, but it is very much in vain, as he plays on unnecessarily. But it's always fun to just move the whole pawn phalanx and make sure that you don't give your opponent any chances for stalemates by leaving them a square to move back and forth in. It's always crowd pleasing, and you want to be able to mate with a pawn when you can, because it just feels so satisfying. So if you enjoyed that line and that idea in the Alekhine, definitely take a look at the Chessable course. Feel pretty good about the opening overall. If you want to avoid the complaints about other systems, complaint about e5 against e4, symmetrical king pawn. Well, I hate the four knights. White can try to play for a draw. Okay, what about with the Sicilian? I hate the Alekhine. Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too. I hate it so much. Well, in the French, they have the exchange variation. I struggle to win. Carl Kahn, well, they have the exchange variation. The exchange variation in the Alekhine is fun to play and excellent winning chances for black. Ask our boy, Grandmaster Bortnick. He makes a living off of playing the Alekhine. So, hopefully this series has given you some ideas about maybe this dynamic and interesting opening could possibly be for you. Thanks for joining in. If you like the series, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe. It helps my feelings. Thanks.